Well, good morning there. The stream will be starting in just a few moments. While we wait, let me introduce the stream and just tell you what we'll be doing today and what I do on this channel in general. Today is the 5 a.m. stream. That's because it's 5 a.m. Japan time. I'm aware it's a different time in your territory, but I have to work in Japan times because it's most convenient for me and I have a variety of viewers in different territories, so it's just easiest that way. So today we're going to be doing some Z80 programming on a little game I've been working on called Yquest. This is a recreation of a DOS game I used to play called Yquest. It's a nice simple little game, so it's the kind of thing I have a vague chance of being able to develop at 5 a.m. when I'm half asleep. So that's what we'll be doing today. Now, as well as this stream, we do have the Saturday streams, which are a gaming stream. I'll be playing some Sega Master System again, so hopefully there'll be some fun had there. The style of the streams is slightly different. This one's a very relaxed stream. It's a sort of designed to be sort of a late night radio show kind of thing. So very, very easy listening, very calm and not particularly inappropriate, shall we say, whereas the Saturday stream is much more easygoing. Language may be a little bit cruder and we'll have a bit of a joke on that one, so as I say, please try and bear that in mind with your chat and things. But today we'll be working on this Yquest game again, but in general I'll just tell you a little bit about what I've been working on. Working on some new tutorials this week. Hoping to get this 3D tutorial done at the weekend, but I'm trying to get 3D cameras set up and I'm having some hardware problems there, so maybe that'll come, maybe it won't. But I've also been working on a Sam Coupe tutorial explaining all of the alternate graphic modes on that, and I've just been doing some other general programming this week, so hopefully there'll be some more good stuff coming very soon. Anyway, let's start the stream properly. Let's get the programming window open and we'll discuss what's been going on. My windows in order here. Multiple windows, sticking my key presses. Hello, Robert Lee. Very kind of you to join me today. We'll be doing some more programming on Amstrad CPC. HH, good evening. Good evening indeed. Very kind of you to join the stream. And hello, Quasar Sam Coupe. Evening, morning indeed. I say I've been playing with Sam Coupe screen modes, which quite a curious combination of Spectrum and not Spectrum. So I've been having some fun there, but it took me a little while to get to understand what they were doing, but I think I've got there in the end. So hopefully I will be able to do another Sam Coupe screen mode tutorial, which sort of pads things out a little bit. So hopefully that will be not interesting to you as such, because I know you are a genius on the Sam Coupe. More you will appreciate someone else covering the system you enjoy, something like that. So yes, that's what's coming up on my tutorials, of course. So we're programming the good old Amstrad CPC today, which is my go-to system because it's what I grew up with, and because it has a very good assembler debugger, and we can't cope with a whole lot of debugging at 5 a.m. over here. So let's just compile our program and let's just remind everyone what the state of it was last time. So we've got this little game here. We can move our player character around, that little spinning Y thing, and we need to collect these crystals and basically avoid everything else. Now, there was a bug in this code last week, if you remember, and what I said was that I thought it was a bug with the random number generator, and I was concerned it could take a lot of time to troubleshoot. My concerns were unfounded. It actually only took 10 minutes. I managed to fix the bug before I started work. I took my external hard drive to work, plugged it in, loaded up the emulator, and I found it very, very quickly. So what the problem wasn't the random number generator. This routine, randomize object position, is selecting the position for the new object when it's creating the initial screen, and these push and pop commands weren't there. So this was changing BC. Now the code that uses this, I can't remember where it is. Let's find it. Is just here. Now you'll notice here that B is set to the enemies here. And if we look, where is it? Here, just here. I think it's this one. What it's doing is it compares every new object that's created to every other object that's been previously created, and make sure they're not overlapping, because that's a problem. Because B was getting changed, that wasn't happening. What was happening is the objects were being compared to themselves. The first object was being compared to itself, and the first object, no matter what random position you select, if you compare it to itself, it's always going to be overlapping itself, if that makes sense. So that was causing it to fail, and that's why the game at last week was getting stuck in an infinite loop with certain settings, basically with the setting saying that a 0 position was invalid, and also that's why there was always an object stuck in the top left corner, I think. So yeah, a couple of little mistakes there. Okay, now what we're going to do today is we're going to try to introduce the concept of bullets to the game. Now, the original game supported the ability to fire. The player could shoot at the enemies, and if the bullets hit them, it would destroy the enemy. In addition, the player could be shot by some enemies. Most enemies didn't shoot, but in the later levels, there were some enemies that shot at the player. So all round, this was a sort of fairly important mechanic to the game. And so while it's going to be a little bit of effort to program, a little bit of a bit of work, I think we need to try and do it for this game, because, as I say, it was an important mechanic of the game, and it was not one I disliked. Now, I've changed the mechanics of the game. In the original game, if you hit the walls of the play area, you would die, and also the game scrolled. Now, for convenience of making this game simpler on 8-bit systems, I've removed the scrolling, and because the screen is now quite small, and because the controls, we don't have the precision of the mouse, I've removed the fact that you no longer die when you hit the walls. So I'm perfectly happy to change the game rules, but I think we need to try and get the bullets into the game, because I think they're quite an important part of it. So we've got these two sprites just here. Now, this little tiny one is going to be the player bullets, not particularly detailed, but this larger one is going to be the enemy bullets, and that's because well, if the enemy is shooting, the player's going to have to avoid it, so we need to make them nice and clear. So that was my logic there. Okay, now let's have a look at my code, and let's see. I'm hopeful that we can actually use parts of the same code that is handling our normal enemies to handle the movement of the bullets. You see, we've got here's the data that we use as part of our enemy drawing, basically, and even our player drawing. It's all the same routine. Sprite number, okay, well, that's fine. A spare byte there, we might want that spare byte, might be useful to us. An X position, a Y position, the current location of the sprite. An acceleration, okay, well, that's going to be useful for a bullet. A program, which is the movement procedure. We might not need that. I don't think we're going to need that. And a collision program. Okay. Now, what I'm thinking is this is going to be probably a little bit superfluous. I don't think we're going to need all of this for the bullets. We'd actually only need a sprite number, an XY position, and an X and Y acceleration. But I think it's probably not going to be worth worrying about. I don't think we're going to need any optimization at this point. Look at this terrible array here. I should have used a DS there, shouldn't I? But I think we can use this as is, and I think if we write a new routine that uses parts of the same code and just skips over other parts and uses new collision detection, hopefully we can repurpose our code. So we're going to create a new array called bullet array, and we're going to add an object to it. Okay. Now, so if we look at our sprites, that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's number 6. So if we put in a sprite number 6, our X position 0, 0, and that should be okay. Now let's get up a little notepad here, I think I said last week, apparently Microsoft are threatening to remove Notepad, which I'm not very impressed with. Of course, I will bring it back if they do remove it, but it seems to be one of the very useful built-in applications. 3D Paint probably could do without. Notepad, kind of would like you to keep that in anyway. So we're just backing up the label there because we're going to need that. And let's find the code that is actually handling. Okay, so here is the loop that is handling the objects, right? So these are kind of mislabeled. Blank player should really be called blank sprite now. We're actually using the player code for the enemies, and we're going to use it hopefully for the bullets as well. So blank player and draw player I think can be used as is. Object collision, that'll need to change because we're no longer checking if the objects collide with the player. We're going to now check if the bullets collide with the objects, the enemies. So I think if my 5 AM brain is thinking this through correctly, which it may well not be, I think if we just create a new collision routine, the rest of the code is going to basically do what we need. Maybe it will. Anyway, let's start out. So I've called this this new array bullet array, and we're only going to have one bullet in it for a start. And this is going to be the player's bullets. And now later on we will have a second bullet array for the enemy bullets, which again will have a different kind of collision detection because it will be checking if the enemy bullets have collided with the player. So there'll be 2 bullet arrays. This is how Chibi Akuma's worked. There were 2 bullet arrays, and the player one was smaller than the enemy one. And I think that's important because you don't want a situation where the player can render the enemies unable to fire just by like spamming bullets everywhere. You want to keep the limits separate for the 2 classes of object. The player should not be able to slow down the firing of the enemies and vice versa. So just disable that line there, and we change this label. Next bullet loop. You may notice I never use local labels now. I don't believe WinApe actually supports them, which I know is going to be a disappointing thing to quite a lot of people, but as I say, seems to be the case that it doesn't support them, so we have to work without them. Okay, so let's compile that. Just run our program. Okay, that flashing mess I think is our bullet. It seems to have a mind of its own. Okay, well let's okay, well I think what we need to do is change the program. We need to change the program to 0 because we don't want it having a mind of its own. We want it to just keep on going until it gets to the end of the screen, and it'll bounce at the moment, but we can fix that later. And apparently, well, either sprite number 6 is wrong, or I haven't exported my sprites recently. Could be either. I can't see anything there that looks like that, so let's just do a file save CPC. I can't remember which. I think it's this one. I think it's this one we want. And if we go to Z, Resol, sprites, Yquest. Now, the initial version of this game is going to be on the CPC, but my plan is to port it to pretty much all of the other 8 bits that I currently cover. Okay, so it looks like that's the right sprite, but it looks like some of my banks haven't been exported recently. So if we just go to next bank, and if we do file, I have to save these 4 banks manually. There's unfortunately no automated way of doing this, so we just have to do 4 separate save commands. It's a little bit of a pain, but there does get a point where unfortunately in this particular instance you would want a command maybe to do that automatically, but it gets a bit difficult to work out what commands to add, you know, how far to automate things like exporting the 4 banks into 4 separate files, and how far to just say, well, that's not particularly common. The cases where someone wants to do that, they should probably just do it themselves. Okay, so our little bullet is continuing along the screen, but our player died there, so okay. Now let's just watch out. It should bounce when it hits the screen. Yeah, it bounced, and it also went slightly off the screen, which it shouldn't do. Okay. So, I mean, at some point I'm going to have to start splitting this program out because it's getting very big for a single file, but I kind of think it's more convenient to have it as a single file for these 5 AM streams. Okay. Range test. I mean, the problem here, to be honest, is it's so long since I've looked at this code recently. I can't remember how it works. I'm doing this program 2 hours a week, and it's not really enough. You kind of get into that state of, I can't remember what I did last week. So okay, well, let's have a look at this draw player routine. Okay. Now, I think we need to have that just there. And what we need to do here, I think, is we need to check the program. If the current program is a bullet, we're just going to continue as we were. Okay. Sorry, excuse me a moment here. I'm just reading. Yeah, okay. Now this is going to work. Okay, it's still going to flip the movement direction, but that's not a problem as long as this code actually does get run, and it will get run. Okay, so here what we're going to do is we are going to clear the current object. Now, is it the program? It's the collision. So if we load 255 into the collision routine, that will effectively disable this object, which is what we want to do if the bullet has hit the screen. So if we just do OJ with 255 here. No, go away, leave me alone. We do need the object to stay on the screen long enough to bounce, so I need to make sure I don't get killed any time soon and I'm losing control. That didn't work. Oh, I forgot to change the program of the bullet. It's a silly thing to do. So I need to change this one to 3. Let's just make a note there. And as I said before, if you're not familiar with WinApe, it does not save as you're working. So don't do hours of work, forget to save, and then complain if it crashes and loses all your work. It crashes very rarely, but sometimes it does. So just bear that in mind, and make sure once in a while you do a quick save while it's open. It also is more prone to what happened there? Okay, I've just used the wrong program there. Program 3 must do something else, because the bullet changed direction, and that's not quite what I had in mind, to say the least. Okay, okay, I see. So we actually need to just put in a CP3. Now we could actually probably do this in a bit more of an efficient way. I'm just thinking this through in my head. I'm just thinking maybe rather than using the program, maybe we should use the collision program instead. Maybe that's going to work better. I think this is going to work better if we use the collision. And the collision byte is number 7. So we need to change that to 0. 0 is our dumb object that just moves without any intelligence, and if I keep colliding with those mines, I'm going to move without any intelligence as well. So our bullet is kind of plodding along the screen far too slowly. We will have to well, it logically disappeared, but it didn't visibly disappear. Okay, so we'll we need to do a blank of the player there. That didn't work at all. Why didn't that work? I put it in the wrong place, that's why. Okay. Now, while I'm at it, let's just have a look and let's see what we can do about the speed of this bullet. And as part of this, I want to check how long our delay is. It's not particularly long, is it? Okay. Let's just change our bullet speed, and I'm just wondering whether we need to process the bullets differently to the player object, the other objects, to make them move fast enough, or if we can, or if the acceleration is going to be satisfactory to do the job for us. Because they were very fast in the original game. Yeah, that's very fast. It still didn't disappear when it got to the end of the screen. How disappointing. Let's have a look at this routine. Maybe there's something wrong with this routine. Okay, well, I think we need to use a simpler version of this, because I think we've got the one we've got here is too complex. Okay, that's not worked at all. That's gone very badly. Ah, dear me. Okay, well, a jump. That should be a call. Okay, it's alright. I know what. Right, that's not going to work. I know what the problem is here. Our position. We need to clear the sprite when the position's been reset. We're doing it too early, so we need to take this code and we need to put it down here after the XY position's been reset. We're not drawing the sprite in the position that it's currently been shown. I think that's the problem. Oh, come on. Okay, that's not working still. Oh dear me. Let's just have a look at. I'm drawing a blank here. I don't know why this isn't working. Okay. So my code is not blanking the player sprite for some reason, and I can't remember why. There's obviously something I'm forgetting about this code that I'm not doing. Let's put a breakpoint on this blank player routine. So we're loading B and C here. IX should be pointing to the current player. Let's just check this code is actually getting executed at all. Maybe there's a bug somewhere else. Yes, it is. Is it being drawn immediately after it's being? Yeah, maybe that's the problem. Maybe I'm redrawing it. Yeah, it's redrawing it. I think we need to change think we need to do something else. Okay, let's do this. If we take this code here, and if we put I'm just trying to think, can we just put a ret here? Maybe we can. I'm looking at the pushes and pops. I think we're actually clear to just put a return command there, because we need to skip. It's redrawing the sprite. So it's redrawing the sprite after the current piece of code. So me blanking the player isn't doing anything at all, because I'm redrawing it again. So our breakpoint has just kicked in, and now if I, there we go. So that bullet's now been cleared. Okay, that's a start. Now what do we need to do? Well, we need to create an array, and we need to fill the array with some bullets, I think. Okay, so if we just get rid of this code here, and if we do ds, how many bullets do we need? Let's say 8 should be enough. 8 should be enough for the player, I think. And if we do this and we define these as 255, I have a suspicion this is going to cause trouble, but we'll do it anyway. No, it's going to be okay. It's okay at the moment, because the collision being 255 means the object isn't drawn. What we do need to do is be quite careful when we define the bullet and make sure we set the program to 0 though, because at the moment the program will be 255. Okay, so we've got our bullet array code here, and we need our bullet count. Of 10. Let's see, we've got 10 people watching at the moment. It's very kind, and that's far more than I usually get for my my stream, so I hope everyone's finding it interesting. There's not a lot of chat going on, but that's absolutely fine. I don't particularly expect people to chat, so just you know, feel free to just watch along and laugh at my mistakes, or just to see what happens with the programming. So we'll never quite know what's going to happen in these streams, because there is no there's no pre-planning as such. You know, occasionally I'll have a little think about, well, you know, what's the next thing to do, or well, what's the best strategy for that. But I don't write any test code or anything, and I don't, with the exception of last week where I felt it was important to make sure that there wasn't a serious bug in the code. I don't typically do any work on this outside of these streams, so as I say, we really sometimes there is the risk you will just sit here and watch me be very silly, you know, make mistakes. But making mistakes is part of programming, unfortunately. We do make mistakes sometimes, and we just have to cope with it when they happen. So we'll just put a halt in here. I just want to, code is expecting, oh well, that's a silly thing. That needs to be an equals. That should be equals 8, not 10. So we're going to limit the player to 5 bullets. I don't want them going crazy. Okay, so my fire button is being read, and okay. Didn't want to be in a situation where I was trying to program the fire button and it wasn't working, and the reason it wasn't working wasn't anything to do with my code as such, but was that the joystick wasn't connected correctly, or I just didn't understand how the firmware was returning the fire buttons. So I thought for my own sanity, I thought we'd better just make sure we understood it okay. So what we will do now is we will create a player, no, not there, code. Where? We need to start. Yeah, we need more of these. Fire bullet player, because there will be an enemy fire bullet as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do LDIY, bullet array. I'm going to load B with the bullet. Those are backwards. 5 AM programming, a silly mistake. Okay. And what I need as well, let's just get that. Okay. Just stop. I just need to take this. I'm going to put this into my clipboard because that's the format of our data. We need that. What we also need is the current player's position, and that is in, I think that's in BC. I think it is. And we need to make sure we don't wreck that, because otherwise we're going to have some trouble. Yeah, BC. Okay. Now, let's just do a push. And I'm being over paranoid here. I don't think I need HL in the case, but as I say, last time the bug was because a subroutine was changing registers, and that was causing some trouble. So to avoid that happening again, we'll just be a little bit cautious this time. What we're going to do here is we're going to scan the bullet array, and we are going to try and find an object with a collision program which is not 255, which means that the object is 255, sorry, and that's going to mean that the bullet is not actually live in the game. In other words, an empty space within the array. Okay. Going to change these around a little bit because I need BC, because BC is the current player position, and if the player fires a bullet, that bullet is going to start from the player's position. So we need to get that BC back, but we don't need the other registers, I don't think. And if we don't find a bullet, we want to do load DE, 8, add IY, DE. I think that's a legitimate command. I do struggle a bit sometimes with remembering which commands are legitimate and which are not. Let's just check my cheat sheet here. Yes, that's correct. That's fine. I thought it was. We can't add HL to IY because of the way the processor works. IY and HL are kind of the same thing. I know that sounds a bit weird, but that's the way the sort of CPU works. So, but DE and BC we can do that with, I think. Okay, so we're just moving down into the next element in the array here, and then we do DJNZ check next bullet. We put this label just here. Okay, so that should do that. So when we get to here, we've found a bullet. So what we need to do is do pop BC, get the player's position back, and then we need to do load IY, IY plus XPOS. Load that with B. I think we can do that in a single command. I think we can. Can't quite remember. Give it a go. So we're loading our XY position into the position in the array that we've found is spare. We're then going to load in a 6, and I think we definitely need this as a separate command. I don't think we can load a number straight into an array. No, we can. We can. Okay, well, let's do that. I'm forgetting my commands here. So we want to load the sprite number as 6. We want to load the acceleration as 1. And the y acceleration is 1. We want to load the program and the collision is 0. The collision program needs to be 3 for bullet. That's right. So sprite number 6, collision program 3, programs collision 3, program 1, and the acceleration we're going to go with 4. Okay, so those commands are all okay. And then we need to just return back to check bullet return, because we've popped off BC here. Laminated cheat sheet indeed. Yeah, I do have a PDF. I'm deciding to use the Deadwood solution rather than the advanced PDFs, but yes, I have my laminated cheat sheet is still the same one that I used for Chibi Akuma's. I've actually updated the PDF, but I haven't updated the laminated one. But yes, hello Mark, it's very also good morning indeed. Good morning. It's kind of you to join me. We're putting the laminated cheat sheet to good use because my brain can no longer remember which commands are valid with IY. Well, there have been unfortunate cases. There was where's my joystick? Oh, I forgot to put the call in. So, okay, yeah, so all that code can't run because I forgot to put the call in. There was an unfortunate case where for a long time in Chibi Aliens when I was programming that, I put in an add IY, HL I think it was, and Vassam assembled it fine. But the way the CPU works, the HL register is switched in, substituting IY when the IY commands are executed, so it's kind of the same circuit, if you will, that switches over, I believe. So you can't use H and L with IY because they're kind of in a way the same register in some sense. But Vassam didn't realise, so it was assembling this command that doesn't exist on the Z80, and the Z80 was just ignoring it quite correctly. So eventually I finally checked my cheat sheet, realised the shameful mistake I was making, and corrected my code and dropped a quick message over to the author of Vassam, who yeah, we don't need that breakpoint anymore. Okay, well that's not working right. I can only fire I can probably only fire a single bullet because I've not put the loop in for drawing them, but they're not starting from my position. Which is not what I expected. Okay. Okay, I'm incorrect here. I thought BC equaled the player position, but I don't think they do. I don't think they do at all. I think that's ancient history. I think that's the I'm thinking of the test code in the simple series. This code is obviously long since separated from that, and I'm completely forgetting how it works. How embarrassing. So maybe I don't need any of these push pops at all. Again, how embarrassing. Never mind. We will continue on. So we'll just put that there, and if we just do we we definitely need to do that in 2 parts. And if I find, here's my bullet array, and I need to change the count from 1, because that was just my beginning test code. And then if we compile that and do call, leave me alone, stop harassing me. Oh no, it's working, it's working. Look at that, look at them go. Ah, fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so I'm happy, I'm quite happy now. I'm now in happy mode, as Crichton would say in Red Dwarf. Okay, so that's a fine start to the day. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to do collision detection, and we need to check if those bullets have hit an object, and if it's hit an object, we need to do something about it. I'm not sure what we need to do about it, but we need to do something. So, I mean, I guess what we want to do something like kill the object and then make it respawn sometime later at the edge of the screen, maybe something like that. But for now, we'll just kill it. We'll just kill the object, and that will mean that the player can go on a crazy spree and wipe out all the enemies on the screen, which is impossible in the original game, because, as I say, they came back, and we will make them come back in our game as well. But we'll make them come back out at the very edges of the screen, so that they can't cause any immediate problems for the player, or at least they're unlikely to. Okay, so let's. Okay, so we need to do the range test. We're going to have to range test, and we're going to compare each bullet to every object in the enemy array. So let's copy our, again, I'm just putting little bits of code into my notepad here, which is kind of my mega clipboard, my surrogate brain, maybe, for all the things that my terrible memory cannot remember. Could be either. So we'll need that, and we need to have let's copy the code, because we've already done this. Let's take the code from here, and you can see here, this is my test code from when I was having that problem after last week's episode. It's nothing resembling a lesson. After last week's episode, there was a problem where it was causing trouble, and I needed to see why it was causing trouble, so I dumped all of the values that were being generated to screen using this code here. So I'm just looking at this here. Actually, I don't think there's much worth copying here. So we'll just take that line. So we need to use that command, and we just need to remember how it works, and we just want the object array . And this is the count, that's how many we need, so we take that as well. Well, actually I'm saying that, let's take this as well, we will take it. And we need to Where's that bullet code? It is gonna, don't worry, I will split. I will do some kind of splitting of this later on. I will tidy it up. Before this will become eventually a tutorial. There'll be a series called this sort of game series or something where we'll break down this code and explain how it all works, and it will be nicely code commented and things. But at the moment, it's not. Let's put it that way. We'll load C with enemies. We'll then push BC, otherwise we're going to have a bad day. And we'll pop BC here. And then what we'll do is we will enemy collide loop. I'm not putting spaces in my labels, that's not right. .c. Okay, and then here we need to do a call of range test. And jump if there's no collision. It's very cold this morning. I don't know why it's getting colder. We had a very mild winter so far, and I was, hoping we would start getting a bit more warmth, but seems not. Seems to have suddenly got cold again. Anyway. And so we need to, we've not loaded our object array here, so we need to load our object. Excuse me. We need to load our object array just here. And we need to do load BC, 8, add IY, BC to move to the next object. Although there is a definition for 8. Instead of using 8, there is a symbol, something like object size or something. Should use that instead, but I can't remember what it is right now. So if we get here, then our object has collided. And so what we'll want to do is we want to do, for starters, we want to load in 255 into the collide program, because that will kill off the object. Collide, blah blah blah, jump back up to here. So we're checking each bullet compared to each object, which is going to be slow, slowish. Okay, I just realised something. Yeah, I can only fire in one direction. I've also managed to break the code because I'm now spewing junk all over the screen. And that bullet went straight through that enemy. But that enemy stopped. Okay. Yeah, things aren't right. Okay, 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 this is in the wrong place. This needs to be down here. That explains why the object I hit wasn't the object that vanished. I need to get rid of these breakpoints, they're very annoying. I can... yeah, very annoying. Okay, well, I need to do some checking here because I'm actually able to destroy any object. I just destroyed a mine, and I could even destroy a crystal, I guess. Can I? Yes, I can. I've just destroyed a crystal, which is not going to work. That's going to ruin the game. So we'll need to do some logic checking to make sure the player isn't wiping out their own game assets. So yeah, we'll fix that, but we'll fix that in a moment. So we're just going to use call blank player. Now we need the position. We need IX. Does blank player use IX or does it use BC? Right, I think it's okay. I think it'll work. Stop it. Very annoying. Didn't work. Didn't work again. What blank player's not being very helpful for me, is it? I know why blank player is not helping. It's because of... oh, yeah, let's just... it's because I've already disabled the object. I need to do that after I blank the player. Otherwise I'm blanking something that's already been told not to draw to the screen. My collision detection doesn't seem to be very good, does it? Okay, well, we got rid of the object there. I need to check that collision detection code though, because it seems to be a bit seems to be sort of allowing bullets to go partially through objects. Maybe the hit zone's too small. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll have to play with some settings and see what works best. But anyway, we can now destroy objects. However, we need to change the acceleration on the bullets. The bullet acceleration should match the player's movement. So because at the moment we're just setting the X and Y acceleration here. But what we actually want to use is we want to base it on these. So what will we do? It's a good question. It's a good question what we'll do. Now the thing I'm thinking is we don't want the player to be able to fire while stationary. We either want to randomize it or we want to just not shoot anything. Now in the original game I don't think it was physically possible to be stationary. Well, maybe it was, I guess, at the start, but I think you were always kind of moving at some speed in some direction, so maybe it was allocating a random speed, a very slow random speed. But anyway, so what we'll do is we'll do load A with player acceleration X, and we'll load that into B, and then we'll load A with player acceleration Y, and we'll load that, well, actually, no, we won't do it well like that. We'll load BC0 here, and then we'll compare that to 0, and if it's get the cheat sheet out again, which is here, and if my eyes will focus, that's the first thing we're going to need. We're going to need some focusing. Used to doing sine arithmetic in 8-bit. I need to look that up. I need to know the command to do if it's greater than 0. Anyway, so if this is it's cold, it's very cold. So if then we do compare 128, and if it's greater than 128, 27, if it's greater, then it's a negative number. Okay. So here we'll load in B with 4, and here we'll load in B with -4. I guess we actually want to do this the other way around. Let's do this. If we load in B here with -4. Okay, let's just try that. I should be able to fire right and left now. Okay, now hang on a minute. I've put the code in to check the direction, but I've not applied the acceleration anywhere. Carried away. So if we load in B into the acceleration here, we'll compile that. Go. Yeah, that worked okay. Okay, so that's fine. So more labels than we need, but who cares? Okay. Okay, and then what we want to do, well, we want to apply our C here, but we want to do load A with B or C. So if the player is completely stationary, they're not going to fire anything. That's what that's going to do, because as I say, we need the bullet to be moving in some kind of direction. Now, in the original game, the bullets would actually move at different speeds depending on the player speed. I think. I'm trying to remember. Okay, I've broken my code. I can't fire down. I can't fire down. Okay. Why has that gone wrong? I should have, as long as either one wasn't 0, it should have worked. I can't see the problem. Let's try again. Maybe it was just an input lag problem. Well, that's not going in the right direction at all. Okay. Hang on a minute. There's no more A here. Why is that gone? Okay, that's. Okay. Okay. So we're firing bullets. I think we need to double the X move speed to double the Y move speed because of the size of the pixels. 4 on the X axis and 4 on the Y axis are not the same thing. We need to double that, I think. Maybe that might cause some collision detection problems. Okay. I'm out of control. I got killed. Okay, so that's sort of working. We made some good progress there, I think. So we just need to save that. And what I now want to do is I want to stop you being able to hit the crystals. I think the crystals are being identified by the collision program. I forget. Yeah, okay. So collision program of 1. A collision program of 1 is a crystal. I mean, technically it's a collision of not 0, but we need to be more precise with that. So 1 equals crystal, 0 equals anything, 3 equals bullet, player. Okay, so we got some rules here. Okay, And so in our bullet code, we will do just looking for the right point to do this, just here. Can be further up, can just here. Crystal. And we also want to do a comparison to the sprite number. Now, I mean, it's difficult. You could argue that this would be better done with another collision type, but that would cause some trouble elsewhere. So I'm just going to do it like this. And we could do both with the sprite numbers, but I'm going to use the fact that the other one's got a unique collision. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 you can't shoot number 4. 4 is the crystal. Shot mine. You can't destroy the mines, you see. They don't get hurt by bullets. You can only destroy the enemies. So we have to dodge the mines. Well, I didn't. Okay, let's just see if we can line ourselves up with. Okay, I think that's working. Yeah, I think we're fine there. Yeah, I think we're doing okay now. Okay, right, so that's okay. What we need to do next is we need to have a way of respawning those enemies. We need to make them come back. So what we'll do is, as well as loading the collision program with 255, we'll load the regular program with 254. And that's going to be a marker for an enemy that needs to come back. Yeah, we'll do that. Just thinking how we're going to do this. Let's have it as random. Let's have a random number generation. So here's our object loop. Now thinking about it, if I've changed the program, how am I going to get it back? Because the problem is I need to restore the original program. Maybe that's not the right way. Maybe that's not the best way of doing this. Yeah, okay, I need to think about that. I mean, I've got an unused byte. I could use the unused byte, or I could put the XY position to 255 255. I don't particularly want to do that because some of my screens might have a screen that is capable of 256 pixels wide, you know, at 1 pixel precision, like the X68000 for example. So I don't particularly want to do that. I could use the collision of 254. Yeah, I could do that. Maybe that's going to be better. Yeah, I think maybe we'll do that. So any collision over 250 is going to be a dead object. Okay, well the game still works, so that's a thing. That implies I've probably not made any horrendous mistakes during that little strategic rethink. Okay. What we're doing here is we are just going to have a 1 in 16 chance that the object is going to like zombify itself back to life. And all we need to do now, because if we want it to appear in the same position, all we need to do is load this with a 0, which is an object that can collide with the player. I think that's right. Is it 0 or is it 1? Yeah, it's a 0. Now 16 is probably way too low, but it's just for testing. Yeah, there you go. You see. Oh, well, there was a glitch there because a Y has appeared. That was pretty unexpected. It's spawning Y's. Make it stop. Make it stop. Okay. Why is it spawning? Why is it spawning Y's? Okay. I don't really understand that. Okay, I think maybe what's happening is our bullets are hitting objects that haven't been initialized and they're coming back to life. Maybe. I mean, that's all I can think of. Didn't expect that. Yeah. And I see no zombified Y's appearing now, so that's a promising thing. Okay. 16 is way too low. So we'll just put another 1 in here. And I'll give it a 1 in 32 chance. Still too low. 64. 1 in 64. Okay. Now what I need is I need a better randomized object position routine. I need 2 versions. At the moment I've only got 1. Now this one will select an object at a random position on the screen in general terms. But I need one that that only makes things appear at the edges of the screen. Okay, let me think how to do this. I'm just sorry, excuse me. I'm just just thinking it through. Okay, so if we So we're going to get one random number there. What we're now going to do is going to get a second random number. I'm going to take just 3 bits of it. So that's a value from 0 to 3. And depending on what that value is, we'll put our object on the top, bottom, left or right side of the screen. Okay. So in this case, we're going to, now we're going to need the ability to, oh dear, no, I think this isn't the right way of doing this. Okay, so we'll do that there. So I'm just thinking it through. I'm concerned that because my x and y axis aren't the same size, I'm concerned that if I repeat the entire procedure, if my random value isn't acceptable, that will increase the probability of it appearing on the longer y-axis than the shorter x-axis. But I don't want to, which I could fix by putting the randomize here, but that's going to increase the length of the code unnecessarily. And I'm just trying to think if there's a compromise solution. I can't think of it at the moment, unfortunately. Well, we'll go with this at the moment then. CP 200 JR. Do ranged random. So we're going to use this one here. So yeah, we'll just use this. Just it's not very efficient, but it'll do. We've got 20 minutes left, so I will work on this. Hopefully we'll get it working, and then I will be ending today's stream. Relatively good progress so far, but you know, maybe I'll curse it by saying that. CP1. Now we could do a deck of A there, but for clarity I'm not going to. So random bottom here. What I could do is I can condense these to make a random X pos or something, and a random Y pos, and then combine them with these. I think we'll probably do that later. So if I've done that right, well, actually I don't think I've actually put the call in again. I keep doing this, writing code and then not putting the call in. So when we respawn our object, yeah, and seeing as we want to test this, let's increase the frequency, because I don't want to wait around to find this bug in the code. So there we go. my fires don't always seem to be being detected. I don't know if that's the firmware routines or if it's because my code is too long. There we go, he respawned up the top there. Very close to the right hand side. I'll just do that again and just check if they're always appearing up there. I think he glitched out. I think he went off the screen there or something and got confused. Maybe we need to just make him start just a little bit lower. Let's make them start not quite at the edge of the screen, but just off the edge. I think that'll be safer. So if I just change this to 16 and this to 8. And I'm going to change this to call random xpos to say that we could, can't change tabs on multiple lines, and this will be random ypos. There we go. So we get some better efficiency of our code here. A little bit. This is random left. And then we need a random right. I apologise. I don't know when that happened. I must have knocked the mute button on my. I've got a miniature keyboard down by sort of my hip, and I must have knocked it with my elbow. Sorry. Thanks for pointing that out, Rob. Sorry about that. Okay. Well, the game is working okay at this point, so hopefully we'll be able to progress with it next week. Yeah. Thanks, Stephen. Yes, you're correct. The mic. I've got this like convenient mini keyboard on my desk for muting the mic quickly, and I knocked the button on it and didn't realise. So thanks for pointing that out. I obviously need to maybe slightly reconsider the convenience of my mute button, because maybe it's too convenient now, or maybe I need to figure out a way of. You really need something to flash when you press it or something. I don't know. I'll have a think and I'll see if I can come up with a better solution for that. Anyway, so we've got our controls working okay here. We've got our firing working now. So that's going to be the end of the programming for this week. So we'll just save our work, which is very important. And we will take a backup, which is also very important. Always back up your work every week, or, you know, you need some way of... You need some way of making sure that you have copies every week, so that if you lose your work or if you make things worse, you can get the good version back again. So I will just make a copy there. Yeah, HH, as I say, I think what happened is, as I say, there's a mute button literally right next to my sort of hip level, and I think I just knocked that and didn't, because I didn't do it intentionally. I didn't realise that the muting had happened. I should have realised, because I've got I am actually listening to my own stream, but I was too busy concentrating on my amazing coding work and not busy enough worrying about whether the stream was actually working properly. But anyway, sorry about that. Right. But so we're at a point now where the player can fire. The collision detections are working reasonably well. What we need next is we need to make the enemies fire back, and that's basically going to be a repurposing of today's code next week. So it shouldn't hopefully take too long. We'll just need to change the code so that it's the enemies firing and the player being collision detected, and using a different array and different sprites, but that shouldn't be a problem. And once we've done that, what we will then do is we will we'll worry about making some different levels, because the game, once you've collected all the crystals, you need to progress to another level, and so each level will have different enemies. So we'll worry about that code. It shouldn't be too complicated. And when we've done that, I think we need maybe a title screen and maybe a little bit of sound. No, the collision detection is not tight. Is too tight on the bullets hitting the objects. So we need to fix that. But that's only minor stuff. I don't think that's going to be a major problem. So that's another thing we need to get done. But as I say, generally speaking, I think this is going quite nicely. So I'm just checking. Okay, yeah, so I was just checking the file stamps and checking that, so come back up that file quickly. This is okay. And so as I say, we'll make a little bit more work on it. Hopefully this game is going to be at a reasonably finished state in a few weeks, and at that point I will start I won't be doing this on the live streams because I don't think it'll be very interesting, but what I'll be doing is I will be taking it away, cleaning up the code, putting some comments in, maybe splitting it into a couple of files, documenting it, and it will become a proper tutorial series. What I plan to do next is then port it to the other Z80 systems, and maybe going forwards port it to the 6502 systems, depending on how busy I am, what the interest levels are, and what other things the 6502 series has going at the time. Because the 6502 series, I've got a lot of backlog there, whereas the Z80 series, I'm looking for new content, and this is going to be that new content. But whatever happens, these live streams are going to be a continuing thing. So we will maybe move on to a different kind of coding. Maybe we'll play with some 68000 or some 6502. I think we need a change, so maybe we'll do that. But anyway, so yeah, today's stream has gone pretty well, I think. As I said before, if you're looking for some Saturday amusement, if it is Saturday in your time zone, there is a gaming stream tomorrow where I'll be playing my Sega Master System, and we'll be messing around with that. I think we're playing Ghostbusters tomorrow. We're going to be calling on the Ghostbusters for some entertainment. Never played the Master System version as a kid. I always play the Amstrad CPC version, but I have fun memories of it, even if the angry video game nerd apparently hated it, and I think a few other people don't like it either, but I found it quite a pleasant game, so I will be playing that and just generally talking rubbish. So if either of those sound entertaining to you, then feel free to drop by. But of course, if you prefer the programming streams, just they will be a continuing thing, same time every week. So just drop in. Anyway, let's get thanks for watching. If my mini keyboard will oblige me, if it'll keep the mic on as well. So again, I really appreciate everyone joining in. I hope you've had some amusement today and found the programming interesting. The source code, once it's finished, will be available to everyone, so you can download it, and if it's useful for you as a template, you will be able to get it. But whatever you do, I hope you have a great evening, afternoon or morning, just depending on your time zone, and certainly have fun with playing with your retro computers or programming or whatever it is you get up to. Anyway, thanks for watching today, and goodbye.